Several U.S. defense officials have testified that the government is keeping a close eye on the funding to Kyiv, despite saying it has spiraled to more than $100 billion. Those comments were made during the first open hearing on oversight of U.S. military equipment to Ukraine.
Can you tell us roughly how much money has been given total to the Ukraine war effort since we began last year?
Well, it depends a little bit how you count it, but I believe it's over 113 billion approximately.
This policy is not without risk. I think we all know that. First of all, it is costing an enormous amount of money in terms of tens of billions of dollars. Why you still believe this is the correct policy to support Ukraine in this war, what the implications are for our own national security. Because I think it's a legitimate question, the American taxpayer, why are we spending money? It seems like a long way away, and not to be overly crass about it, but a lot of constituents ask the question, what's all this got to do with me?
It is the responsibility of Congress to ensure that every single penny of American taxpayer money is being effectively used as intended.
Well, we did provide hundreds of millions of dollars in assistance in the months leading up to the war. And then, of course, Congress...
Actually, if we really rewind the clock, starting in 2014, we provided only non-lethal aid until 2017.
The officials stood by the White House policy that the massive military support for Ukraine is justified. They claim that there has been government oversight of the U.S. assistance since the beginning of the conflict. There have been numerous claims that the money and weaponry are not thoroughly tracked once they reach Ukraine, which before the conflict was reputed to be one of the most corrupt countries in Europe. A U.S. Republican congressman called into question whether controversial Ukrainian armed groups, such as the Azov Battalion, have received access to the U.S. weapons.
Is the Azov Battalion getting access to U.S. weapons?
Not that I'm aware of, but if you have information,
I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the Global Times investigative report that that talks about training. It's from the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab, citing that the Azov Battalion was even getting stuff as far back as 2018.
Without objection, so ordered.
Any reason to disagree with that assessment, Dr.
is this is this the Global Times from China?
No, this is... Well,
that's what you read.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, would that be a reason?
As a general matter, I don't take Beijing's propaganda.
Well, no. Yeah, but just tell me if the allegation is true or false.
I don't have any evidence one way or the other. As a general matter, I don't take Beijing's propaganda at face value.
Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz also mentioned a report by the NATO-backed Atlantic Council. It said that Azov militants had been testing U.S. weapons years before the conflict erupted. But the U.S. Undersecretary of Defense has shrugged off those concerns as propaganda by Russia's close diplomatic partner, China. Former UN weapons inspector Scott Ritter says the claims of having oversight over the money being spent on Ukraine are only to pacify American taxpayers.
I had to laugh when he said, dealing with Ukrainian corruption is at the top of the list. No, it's at the bottom of the list, because if it was at the top of the list, you would never have given Ukraine any money because you can't account for it. The fact of the matter is, there's little doubt that 60-70% of the financial resources that the United States provided to Ukraine has disappeared, isn't getting to the intended target, has been sequestered by the innumerable corrupt hands that are reaching out to be padded by American dollars. And on the military side, again, notice the non-answers. We're investigating, we don't have an answer. If you've been on top of this from the very beginning, you'd have an answer. There are no answers because we're not on the top of it. And the reason why we're not on the top of it is because we wouldn't be able to do this if the truth came out to the American people about how over $115 billion of U.S. taxpayer money has been squandered in Ukraine.